Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining on New Year's Eve, and probably already New Year, not probably, already New Year in India. So wish you all a very, very happy, prosperous, healthy, Krishna conscious New Year. And for those, the New Year has not started. For those that Ramakant Prabhu, you have to keep yourself muted or log out of one device.
No, it seems that it is working now. It seems that it is working now.
I will mute you and keep yourself muted.
Working both of them. Actually.
So, where was I? Yeah. So, wish you a very happy, prosperous New Year. Let's get started with our Īśopaniṣad.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So, we will start with Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenbandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Bhagwan Prabhuji, disturbance is there. You have to mute one.
Okay. Let us recite the invocation verse and the memorization verse for the Īśopaniṣad. Om Purnamadaha
Om Purnamada
Midam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnam Udachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
He is completely perfect.
And because He
God
is
is completely perfect.
All emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world,
All emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world,
are perfectly equipped as complete wholes.
are perfectly
equipped
equipped
as
as complete
complete wholes.
Whatever is produced of the complete whole
whatever
Whatever is
produced
produced
Whatever
of
is
the complete
whole
whole
produced of the complete
also
whole
complete in itself,
is
is also complete in
is
itself.
complete in itself.
because he is the complete whole.
because he is
Because
the
the complete whole,
Complete
Even
whole.
though so many complete units emanate from
even
him,
though so many
even though so many
complete
complete units
units
emanate from him,
him,
he remains the complete balance.
he remains the
he
complete
remains the
balance.
complete balance.
Next one. Ishavashyam idam sarvam
Avashyam idam sarvam
Yam jagat
yatkincha jagat
tena tyaktena bhunjitha ma gridha kasya svidhanam.
kasya svidhanam.
Everything animate or inanimate
everything animate
that is within the universe
that
That is within the universe
is controlled and owned by the Lord.
is controlled and by the Lord.
by the Lord.
One should therefore accept only those things
One
Should
should
therefore accept only those
those
Only those things
necessary for himself,
necessary for himself,
which are set aside as his quota,
which are
set
as
aside
his
as
quota.
his quota.
is quota.
and one should not accept other things,
And one should not accept
Other
other
things,
things,
Not accept other things
knowing well to whom they belong.
knowing well to whom they belong.
to whom they belong.
So these are the two important or the memorization verses. Now we will.
Paramguruna Prabhu, I'm going to show you the live darshan of Panchtattva.
Okay. Very good. So now we will go into mantra 12, 13, and 14 today. I'll share the screen again. So today's topic is 3 mantras, 12, 13, and 14. So, and today's topic is a little complicated. It's a very simple topic, but it is something that you need to understand very carefully through the eyes of the Shastra. So it is complicated because we are going to talk about Devi and Devta worship, demigod worship as it is called. There is no English clear translation of Devis and Devta. So Srila Prabhupada has used the term demigod. And those who have done Bhagavad Gita or have prior knowledge have the understanding that the Devis and Devatas, various Devis, Devatas we worship, including, for example, Lord Ganesha, Mother Durga, and so many other Surya Dev, Chandra Dev, Indra, and there are many, many other Devis and Devatas that come under in this category. Hanumanji also, absolutely. They are all assisting the Lord in various functions to run the material world. So they are basically subservient. They are subordinate to the Supreme Lord, who is Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, what we call as Vishnu Tattva. So Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, Lord Ram, Krishna, Narsingadev, Vaman, Matsya, Kurma, all the Dashavatars, they are all Vishnu Tattva. So they are all the same person. There is no difference. The same person takes various, comes in various universes to carry out various activities, various pastimes. There are various kinds of avatars. So we are not talking about those as the Devis and Devatas. That is all, they are all one in the same person, Lord Vishnu. Devis and Devatas are the ones who are different from Lord Vishnu, who are assisting or who are serving Lord Vishnu to carry out various activities. Just like there is a king and there is ministry. There is his whole ministry of or administration, cabinet, and things like that. So now there are many devotees who have been traditionally, as part of their family tradition, as part of their various faith, various teachings or other teachers that they have come in connection with, they are worshipping various Devis, Devatas, and therefore we want to understand what the Shastra is saying about who they are, the various Devis and Devatas, what is their purpose, and what do we get from them, what is various details we will understand, and how to worship them, or how should we connect, what should be our connection, our relationship with the Devis and Devatas. That is the topic for today. Now, so that is the major topic, and it is a standalone topic, and that is the content of these three mantras as well, 12, 13, and 14. There is a slight angle to it as well for those who have been in the Īśopaniṣad course that we are doing right from the invocation mantra 1 onwards. There is a slight connectivity to the previous verses. I will keep that aspect minimum so that those who are doing the whole series also get that connection. But the main topic we want to stick on is this standalone topic of what we call as devta worship or demigod worship. Okay, deva upasana. So that is what we are going to do. So now first we will deal with the connection, the connectivity of the previous verses. So there are these three verses we are going to discuss today, 12, 13, and 14. We already discussed 9, 10, and 11. So there is just from a Sanskrit verse standpoint, there is a very strong correlation or connectivity between 9 and 12, 10 and 13, 11 and 14. So basically 9, 10, 11 correspond to 12, 13, 14. Just from, if you can see from the Sanskrit itself, and I have tried to show it here in these slides. I'll try to make this down. Okay. So as you can see here, and I will only recite you don't do that, the 12, 13, and 14, but I have highlighted the difference. There is just one word difference. You have all done 9, 10, 11. Andham tamaha pravishanti ye asambhutim upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ya sambhutyam ratah. Now here we can see that if you replace the word asambhuti with avidya and sambhuti with vidya, then it just becomes the same as the 9th verse. Okay, so basically those are the key words of the verse. Now from the mantra 9, we understood. So let me just show you this slide. Mantra 9, this is a summary of mantra 9, that avidya is bad, if you recall. And we also said Vidya is even worse. Now, some of you that didn't attend that class might find it confusing. Vidya is supposed to be good. But here, Vidya, the meaning of Vidya in that verse is so-called knowledge. Okay. What it is being said in verse number 12 is that worship of asambhuti is bad. And I will just explain what is asambhuti. Worship of sambhuti is even worse. So let us see what is sambhuti and asambhuti. That was the only difference in the words of the verse. I hope you saw that. So sambhuti means absolute. Asambhuti is the opposite of absolute. What is the opposite of absolute? Non-absolute, we can say, or relative. Relative to the absolute. Relative means relative to something or someone. So relative to the absolute. Okay. So the absolute, you can think of it as non-absolute. If that sounds a little difficult, then there is an easier meaning. Sambhuti means one who is independent of everything. That is called absolute, which means you can define it without using any other definition. Something that is relative, you need to define it using some absolute point, some zero scale. Then you can say this much is the temperature. If I say 100 degree, you need to know what units. 100 degree Fahrenheit versus Celsius is very different. So the scaling, the temperature units or scale becomes the reference point. So that is the absolute. So relative cannot exist without the absolute, but the absolute can exist by itself. Are you following? So that is exactly what is the second definition, or the second way to understand. One who has independent on one who can exist independently is sambhuti. One who cannot exist independently, has no independent existence, is asambhuti. Further making it easy, the Supreme Lord Shree Krishna is sambhuti. And everybody else. So that's for, it is said demigods, the devis, devatas, but that is the focus of the verse. And all other jivas, but what is also being said, all the powerful jivas, devi, devatas are also jivas only. Where is the sound coming from? Is it yours? You can silent it maybe. Demigods and other powerful jivas. Is that clear? So now let us look at the verse again with this definition of sambhuti. Vidya and avidya, we all understood from so many years. We are all, familiar with those terms. Sambhuti and asambhuti, even I was not familiar. But this is the meaning of sambhuti and asambhuti. Having known this, so just when you are reading, remember the last definition. That will make it easy. Okay? The Supreme Lord versus the demigods. And that is the topic for today. So let us look at number 12. Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods, that is asambhuti, that is coming first, enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Tamaha pravishanti. Tamaha means ignorance. Andham tamaha means dark ignorance. Okay. So they enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more so do the worshippers of the sambhuti. Sambhuti is the absolute. Now here is a slight difference. I said sambhuti means Lord Shree Krishna, but in this verse, that is why we need to understand the Upanishads through the commentaries of Acharyas. It is the Supreme Lord, but his Brahman, or the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. Okay. So in this verse, sambhuti means the impersonal aspect or the Brahman aspect of the Supreme Lord. So now you can understand 12 fully, at least theoretically, why one is bigger, why one is dark, and one is further even more darker. We will analyze that, but at least the words you can understand. Correct? That those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into andham tamaha, the darkest ignorance, and those even and still more so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. Okay, clear? Next verse. So we'll cover all three verses and then we will have the discussion. Again, if you contrast number 13 with number 10, Anyad evahu sambhavad, anyad ahur asambhavad, iti shushruma dhiranam, ye nastad vichichakshire. So it is said that one result. So again, sambhavad and asambhavat. Sambhavat means worshippers of the absolute or the impersonal Brahman. and asambhavat means worshippers of the demigods. So it is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities, Dhira Nam. We had a whole class on Dhira, I think 2 weeks back or something, or whenever. That who are Dhiras? We had a good discussion on Guru and all those topics. So the same thing is coming, but we will not have that discussion again. Iti shushrumadhira nam ye nastad vichachakshire. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explained it. Following? Are you clear? Now, just to confuse you a little bit more, just like in the 9, 10, 11, the meaning of Vidya changed slightly. Are you remembering? In 9, the meaning of Vidya was, who can tell? So-called knowledge. And in 10 and 11, what did the meaning of Vidya become?
Spiritual knowledge.
Spiritual knowledge, the real knowledge. And Avidya became what? The
Material
Avidya
knowledge.
as well as so-called Avidya. So that is also being the same thing is occurring here as well. Now, sambhuti or sambhavad means worship of Lord Shree Krishna, the personal worship or the worship of the personal aspect, Bhagavan. And asambhavat we can consider as worship of demigods or even the impersonal absolute, the Brahman. Okay? Are you confused enough? How many of you are confused? Okay. Okay, so we will, hopefully it will become clear. So 14 corresponds to 11. Now this is just the connection for those who are doing the series. Very soon the topic will become much simpler. Okay. Sambhutim cha vinasham chayas tad vedo bhayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutya amritam ashnute. One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna. So again, sambhuti is now referring to Lord Krishna. And his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Knowing Krishna means typically 4 things: his name, his form, his qualities, and his pastimes. Naam, Roop, Guna, and Charita. So Naam, Roop, Guna, Charit, that is name, form, qualities, and activities, and his pastimes. As well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men, and animals. That whole thing is asambhuti. So one should know both. Just like it was mentioned in Mantra 11, that one should know both Vidya and Avidya. Do you remember that discussion? The question was, why should you know both? Who remembers why should you know both?
Yeah, you should know what not to do in order to know what to do.
Exactly. You should know what to avoid and what to adopt. It's not enough just to know what to adopt, because if you are given something that you need to avoid, then you will get confused. Oh, this was not in my syllabus. So you should know what is in the syllabus and what is outside the syllabus, so that you can be clear. Yes, this I know and this I should avoid. So similarly, you should know what to do and what to avoid. So that way, that was the discussion there. Similarly, it is being said here that one should know Lord Krishna as well as the demigods. Both you should know. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge, which means that is Amritam Ashnute, which basically means he gets immortality, he gets moksha, he gets liberation. So I have simplified all of this into this slide. This is a very simple slide, which basically summarizes what these verses are saying. Okay. 9 was saying Avidya is bad, Vidya is even more worse. correct? And there Vidya meant, now Mataji, you can pay attention, or now hopefully it will get clarified what the Vidya meant, so-called knowledge. Similarly here, worship of non-absolute is bad. Here non-absolute means what? Devatas, demigod worship. And worship of absolute is even worse. What is absolute? Brahman, the impersonal aspect of the absolute. 10 said Vidya and Avidya produce different results. Similarly, 13 is saying that the worship of demigods versus the worship of Krishna produces different results. Okay. 11th was saying one should cultivate both Vidya and Avidya. We just now said you should know what to do, what not to do. Similarly, it is being said one should know the Supreme Lord as well as the temporary demigods. Okay, so one should know both. So now we will go into the, so are you understanding the general topic? So today the discussion will be on the right hand side column. We will not go into the left hand side column. That was just shown as a contrast. So on the right hand side column, worship of demigods versus worship of Brahman versus worship of Lord Shree Krishna. Those are the three general categories. Just like sinful knowledge or knowledge that leads to sinful activities versus so-called knowledge versus real knowledge. So here we have, so we will talk about these three. Okay. Niru Mataji, you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji, just a confusion in my mind. When we say Brahman form of absolute, does Guru fall in the Brahman
No,
form of absolute? No.
No. Guru, typically Guru is Jiva. As far as the classification, if we just take two classification, Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. Now Guru has a special category called Guru Tattva. These Tattvas, there are several Tattvas, but if you want to just put it in two broad buckets, Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva, Guru is a Jiva. Okay. And Brahman is the impersonal aspect of the absolute. It does not have a tattva by itself, but again, if you want to put it in a broad category, you can call it as Vishnu Tattva.
Okay.
But basically that is completely eternal, spiritual. And Guru being a living entity is a Jiva. So that those two are not the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Quick question.
Yes.
Asambhutyam and then sambhutya are the same thing? Or they're different?
No, asambhuti, like we said here, right here on this. So the question is, what is asambhuti and sambhuti?
No, sambhutya.
Worship of, that is just a Sanskrit grammar thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. So now, since this is a complex topic, or I should say sensitive topic, that's a better word, sensitive topic, touchy topic. You know, some people are, from generations, they are worshipping some devis, devatas. And now I am coming here, or, not me even, but Srila Prabhupada and others are coming and saying that, oh, there is difference between worshipping so-and-so versus worshipping so-and-so. There is also this general understanding, at least among the people who have been brought up in the Indian culture, that there are so many, devis and devatas. Krishna Bhagwan is also a devata. And they're all, leading, anyone you can choose based on your Shraddha, and you will get the same result. They're all different paths. This is a very common saying. The paths are all different, but the goal is the same. I have heard that. That is not the case either. So it's a touchy topic. It's a sensitive topic. Some people may get offended. Some people may get sad. Some people may, have different kind of feelings on hearing this. So what I want to do is to just go through the eyes of the Shastra. And the Shastra that we are basing our understanding on is Bhagavad Gita. And of course, every line in Bhagavad Gita is substantiated from Srimad Bhagavatam as well. But we will, it's today is 1.5 hour class. If it was 4 hour class, we could have gone into Bhagavatam as well. But trust me that Bhagavatam completely backs up Bhagavad Gita, completely. But Bhagavad Gita itself is a fundamental Shastra, absolutely foundational, fundamental Shastra. So through the eyes of Bhagavad Gita, we will see what Lord Krishna is saying himself about demigod worship. Okay, and not only demigod worship, but about his own worship as a contrast. Okay, so we will mainly focus on demigod worship, but we will focus on, so very quickly, I will, since there are a lot of verses, I have chosen some 10 or 12 verses, and we want to go through them. There is some discussion to be had. I will go through them quickly. It is getting recorded. The verse numbers are there. For details, you should pause the video when you go back or note down these numbers and read those yourself. Here, we will focus on some of the key points. Okay. So, main discussion about demigods happens in 2 chapters, 7 and 9. In 7, it happens from the verse number 20 to 23. And in 9, it happens from 20 to 25. Okay. So let us see what 7.20 is saying. Kamaishtaitair hitagyanaha prapadyante anya devatah tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyatah swaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires. Kamaishtaitair. Those who have that kama, and here kama is referring to material desires. Surrender unto the demigods, prapadyante, another important word. So prapadyante does not apply only to Krishna. Prapadyante could be to anybody. Okay, you can have prapadyante to your boss in your office. I surrender to you. So prapadyante anya devata, those who have material desires. So now, of course, 7.20 is right in the middle of the 7th chapter. And he's been talking about his own, that you should surrender to me, he says in 7.14. Devi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya ma'ameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So there he's saying just 6 verses before that one who surrenders to me can cross this entire material, the ocean of the material world. Now he's saying, but those whose desires are invested in the material energy, those who want material desires, prapadyante anya devata. So it's not just devata he is using, he has added, Lord Krishna has added the word anya to be very specific, that other than me. Even if somebody has a confusion to consider Krishna as devata, fine, he has added another word anya, other devatas. Tam tam niyamam asthaya. So means I increase their astha, I increase their faith in those, in their worship. So all those devis and devatas have different niyama, different procedures and processes for their worship. So stolen by the desires, surrender unto the demigods and follow that particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures, according to the natures, according to of the as specified for those demigods. And that is also mentioned in the Vedas. The Vedas talk about how to get material advancement as well. It talks about spiritual advancement as well, but it talks about material advancement as well. And all the procedures are given. If you want to become rich, you can worship so and so. If you want to have a healthy body, you can do this. There's so many procedures are given about in the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita is only talking about spiritual progress. Next one. So we will skip the Sanskrit from here. I'm going to, okay. So in interest of what I have done is in the blue box at the bottom of each verse, I have summarized the key point. So we will just go through the key point. So here it says, people go to the demigods for fulfillment of their material desires. That is the point. Those who have material desires, they surrender to the demigods. Now, those, if you have been doing that traditionally, you may not know that. But whenever, if you trace it back, when that tradition started, it started by a desire for something material. Everybody, I know in India, they do Lakshmi Puja. So Lakshmi Puja is there, but there is no Narayan. Have you ever seen Narayan Bhagwan in Lakshmi Puja? Narayan is kind of absent. So, and sometimes they do Ganesh Lakshmi Puja, but no Narayan. So you want Lakshmi, but you don't want Narayan. So that is also not authorized as per the, if you want to make spiritual progress, then that is not going to give you spiritual progress. It is going to give you Shubh Labh. Shubh Labh means material welfare. Okay, temporary. We will see the temporary aspect. The next verse 21, Lord Krishna is saying that he lets us use our independence. He does not put a gun on our head saying, no, you are doing something wrong. You must not do it. He is God. He can do that if he wanted. But he is choosing out of his compassion and kindness. Okay, you want to go towards Devi Devta? You can go. He is not in competition with Devi Devtas. He is not going to stop us if that is where we want to go. Now, 22 is a very important verse. A very important concept is being highlighted in 22. The concept that is being highlighted is that the last line is Maya iva vihitan hitan. Maya, it's not Maya. Maya, it's not, there's no dash above the A. Maya means from me, which means those demigods, devis, devtas, they give those benefits, material benefits. But who is the actual provider of those benefits? He says, I am the actual provider of those benefits. Those benefits are actually coming only from me. They are simply a proxy. They are passing it on to you. They are not the ones who own those things. The owner of the material world, of not only material, even spiritual, is the Supreme Lord. Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. That was the first verse that we read. Everything animate or inanimate in this that exists in this world is a property of the Supreme Lord. So how can anybody else manufacture something and give it to you? They are simply passing on those benefits to you. So that is their job. They just pass it on. But those benefits that they are allowed to pass on to you, now we are going to the 23rd one. Okay, they are not permanent. The permanent benefits Krishna gives directly. He has kept it with himself. He doesn't let it be proxied. The permanent benefit, which is liberation, mukti or moksha, that he does not give through the demigods. So none of the demigods or devatas can give liberation or mukti. They can give material benefits. And material benefits have two problems. It is encapsulated in one word here, which is shown here, antavat. What is the meaning of anta? End. Antavat means they have an ending. What do you call something that has an ending? Temporary. So they are those phala that they give. Antavat tu phalam tesham. Tesham means these demigods. The phal that they give, the fruits or the benefits they give, have a ending. Which means we can break it down into two meanings or two words, that they are temporary and they are limited. Okay. Mother Lakshmi can give you some wealth. She cannot give you the entire wealth of the spiritual and material world. Only Bhagavan Krishna can give you. And he doesn't give you, you yourself go to the spiritual world and you enjoy all the entire, you enjoy with Krishna everything. So another point that Lord Krishna is saying, now here he is putting little, twist in the tail. Previously he said, I have no problem if you go. But he is saying that such people are alpa medhasam, Medhas means what? We have one Medha Mataji in our class. What is the meaning of Medha? Intelligence. So that's why people keep the name Medha. Medha means very intelligent. Nobody keeps the name Alpa Medha. Alpa Medha means less intelligent. So it's the opposite of, so to say, or the diminished small intelligence. So Lord Krishna is saying they go there, but they are people of small intelligence or less intelligence. So it's like, father, if child says that, father is saying, do your homework, child says, no, it's okay, I will fail the class. Or father is saying you should get A grade and child is saying, no, C grade is okay. So what will the father say? Okay, he's, less intelligent. He doesn't know the benefit of A grade. So, okay, fine. Whatever you want to do, you can do. But in his mind, he will think that, he's not valuing the highest thing. So, alpa medhasam. So, those benefits are antavat. So, the benefits provided by the devis and devatas are limited and temporary. Such people are alpa medhasa. Okay, they are, Lord Krishna himself is saying, they are not the most intelligent people, they are less intelligent. And the other point is that Devan Deva Yajo Yanti. What that means is that these people go to the planet of those devatas. Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. But my devotees, now there's a sharp contrast. Those devotees of those devatas, they are also called devotees, like prapadyante, surrender, or devotees. Like you can be a devotee of your boss. So devotee doesn't just mean devotee of Krishna, devotee to the devatas. So those who are the devotees of the devatas go to their planets, to the planets of the devatas. And all such planets of the devatas are in the material world only, by the way. None of these devatas have their planet in the spiritual world. So which means you stay in the material world. But last line is Mad Bhakta Yanti Mamapi. They come to my planet. So this shows the point that, like I said, the misconception, paths are many, but the destination is the same. Is the destination same?
No.
No. Clearly it is being said here. The destination is not the same. Okay, now we jump into 9th chapter. Okay. 8th chapter, there is one verse. Brahma bhuvana loka punar avartino arjuna. So the Brahma loka. So I have shown this chart. I could have pasted it here. There is a chart of the material world. There are 14 planetary levels in the material world. The topmost planet of the material world belongs to whom?
Krishna.
Brahma. No, of the material world, not Krishna.
Okay.
In the material world, the topmost planet is
Brahmajyoti.
Brahmaji.
Brahmajyoti.
Brahma.
Lord Brahma, that is known as Brahma Loka. Okay, Brahma, this is different from Brahman. This word Brahman and Brahmaji or Brahma Loka are two different words or two different meanings entirely. So don't get confused. So we are talking about Brahma Loka, the planet of Brahmaji. Brahmaji is also Jiva. He is also Jiva Tattva. He is not Vishnu Tattva. So what is being said in 8.16, Lord Krishna is saying, every planet from Brahma to the lowest one, they are what? They are places of repetition. Punaravartino. If you go to that place, you will come back, which means there is death. So these planets are all in the material world. You will keep going in the cycle of birth and death, birth and death. Punar avartino. You will keep going, coming back. Punar means again and again. So that is what is the translation from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest. All highest planet is Brahmaloka. So the word in the Sanskrit, the word is there, Brahmaloka. Are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. Now, complete contrast in the next two lines. Maam upetya tu kaunteya, those who come to my planet or those who attain me, Punarjanma na vidyate. They don't take another birth, which means they attain moksha. So there is again stark contrast. What happens if you go to the highest planet in the material world? Obviously, that statement applies to all the lower planets as well, like it is said. But there is stark difference in going to Krishna's planet, which are the various Vaikuntha lokas in the spiritual world. Then there is Punarjanma na vidyate. Clear? Now, for many of you, this is obvious, but for some of you, it may not be. And the point I'm trying to show right now is directly through the verses of Bhagavad Gita. Let no one remain confused that Bhagavad Gita said, the paths are many, but the destination is the same. Or Krishna and the various devatas, they are all one and the same. Somebody is little higher, little lower, foreign minister, finance minister versus agriculture minister, education minister, foreign minister, defense minister, they are given higher importance. Education minister is, somewhere down below because, but they are all ministers. One is little big, one is little small. No, it is not like that. The difference is much, much starker. It is the same difference as the king and his cabinet. Okay. 9.20. Now here, Lord Krishna gives a more direct example. Here he is talking about Surendra Loka. Surendra is another name for Indra. What is the Loka of Indra called? Swarga. So here,
Indralok.
Indralok, but it is more commonly known as Swarga.
Swarga.
So what is being said here is that those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, we will not go into all the details, but basically the point is those who do very, very pious activities, good activities, dan, punya, all these kind of things, lot of charity, lot of, helping others and so on. Seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Ashnati divyan divideva bhogan. They do bhoga of deva bhoga, means very, very the same bhoga that Indra does. The enjoyment that Indra gets, one also gets upon going to Surendra Loka or Swarga after doing pious activities. The next verse is very important, 21. It's in the sequence. But what happens? Te tvam bhuktas. Now again, Swargaloka is mentioned directly by name. Swargalokam vishalam. Vishal means after long time in Swargaloka. Bhuktva, after doing lot of enjoyment, bhoga. For a long time, finally what happens? Kshine punye, when their punya is kshina, when their punya is used up. Martya lokam vishanti. Then they again come back to this earth. So which means what? It is temporary. Is the enjoyment in Swargaloka permanent? No. It's like you go to Disneyland with a lot of money in your pocket. Okay, so you keep enjoying. That is the punya that you have earned. That's the money in your pocket. Once your pocket is empty, what will they tell you? Chalo bhai, time up. Go back. When you have more money in your pocket, then you can come back. But for now, you please go back. So kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. So one comes back to the earth planet after the enjoyment or your quota is over. Next verse. Again, remember he called alpa medhasa. Same thing. He's saying, okay, all that is fine. Such people are actually worshipping me only here. Lord Krishna is saying, te api mameva. Whatever worship, whatever charity, whatever pious activities they have done, I am the receiver. He will say that more clearly in the next one. But the other point is, yajanti avidhi purvakam. Avidhi. which means whatever worship they are doing, it is not in the proper way. That's not the proper way of investing your time and energy. I have not included this verse, 9.26, very, very famous verse. That is the proper way of investing your time and energy. What is the 9.26? Anybody knows? Very famous verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. That is the proper way of doing worship. But this way of worship, of trying to do all these pious activities and going to Indraloka, Swargaloka, is avidhi. And then in the next verse, he says that aham hi sarvayagyanam bhokta cha prabhurevacha. Whatever worship they are doing, whatever yagya they are doing, and whatever various activities that they are doing, pious activities, ultimately I am the receiver only. But since those activities are motivated by a material desire, okay, they get the material benefit, but those benefits are coming from me only. The worship is coming to me, the benefit is being given by me, but those are all temporary material benefits. So Lord Krishna is the ultimate receiver of all the demigod worship. So the demigods are not keeping anything for themselves. They pass on whatever worship they get from the people, they pass it on to Krishna. Krishna gives back material fruits, which they pass it on to the people. And they are temporarily happy. And this cycle keeps going on like what is that wheel on which that mouse keeps running?
Hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel. So the hamster wheel keeps running. You are continuously running. It's like, running on a treadmill. You don't make any progress. You are still where you are. But you are it's good for exercise, but it's not good for going somewhere. You stay where you are. The last verse, 25, is saying that, I won't go into it, but it is saying that the destination of the demigod worshippers is not the same as the destination. So very similar content as to 7th chapter, the previous verses, again in 9th chapter, but with more context, Lord Krishna is showing. So this is directly coming from Bhagavad Gita. Now, the nature of the demigods. In 18th chapter, 40th verse, it is being said that even the demigods are bound by the 3 gunas. Yesterday in the Bhagavad Gita class, those of you who attended, we had a nice discussion on the gunas. So even the demigods are bound by the 3 modes, which tells us that they are also jivas, jiva tattva. So demigods are just very important, very powerful jivas, but they are also jivas because they are bound by the modes. And one who is bound by the modes is in the material world. They are all in the bhautik jagat, not in adhyatmik jagat. They are the controllers. They are the powerful people who are controlling the bhautik jagat or this material world. But ultimately, they are also bound by the modes. And the demigods are always bound by sattva guna, means by the mode of goodness. They are very honest. They are truthful. They do good things. They are not criminals, but still they are bound by the mode of goodness. Now, 17.4, I'm going to draw a slight contrast here. That Lord Krishna says in the 17th chapter, 4th verse, that those who are in the mode of goodness worship the demigods. So the point is that the worship of the demigods is an activity in the mode of goodness. It will very soon become clear why I'm saying that. Or let me tell you. The reason why I'm saying or mentioning this verse from the Bhagavad Gita is that it is not a bad thing to worship the demigods. It's just not recommended, or it is not the highest. But if one is doing that, it's not something which is to be immediately stopped. Like if you're, the example I gave, instead of A grade, your child says, I want to get B grade. I don't want to study so hard. At least he's not going and taking some drugs and alcohol and doing those things. It's not a criminal activity. Okay. So worship of the demigods is in the mode of goodness. And we must, therefore, the demigods are, like I said, they are good, very faithful servants of the Supreme Lord. They deserve all our respect. We should not look down upon people who are worshipping demigods. We should not disrespect them, ridicule them, or do anything like that. We should respect them. And there is a discussion we will have today on how should, if you are worshipping demigods, or if your astha, your faith, your shraddha is into worship demigods, how to do that? What to do with that? Definitely you shouldn't say, okay, from tomorrow I will, get out. All the demigods, chalo, bahar chalo. Everybody leave. No, that should not be the case. So what is how to properly worship? What could be the possible transition plan, and so on? We will discuss. So the point is, these demigods are very good people. They deserve all our respect because they are very nice and faithful servants of the Lord. Okay. Just that they are not the Lord themselves. That is the confusion that many people have. And hopefully through the Bhagavad Gita, that confusion has been cleared. Is there anybody still who remains with the confusion? Are the devatas same as Bhagavan Krishna? At least according to the words of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody still has the confusion? About
we have already understood that Krishna, Ram, these are avatars, whereas devatas are not the same.
Yes.
They are not the same. We know it.
Okay, very nice. Many people don't. So you are lucky that you know it. Anybody still has a question or a confusion, needs more clarification?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I have a question.
One sec, there's a question in the room.
We heard ki Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Brahma ji cleared ki every planet, one Brahma is separate. Vishnu and Mahesh. Vishnu Bhagwan, he is the Supreme Lord. But what about Mahesh?
So now, first of all, let me just clarify another point. So when you, that's actually a nice way to, you have given me a lead into answering that question yourself. So the question is, we have heard of what is known as the Trimurti, or Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, and all three are considered equal. So your first question, so your question that Mataji asked is, what about Mahesh or Lord Shiva? Okay, now that itself is a very complex topic deserving its own class. So I will not be able to do justice to that. I can give you a 2-line summary of it, but a more deeper discussion we can have at some other time. But before asking about Lord Shiva, your question could also have been, if those three are equal, how come those are equal when we have just read that Brahmaji and Lord Vishnu are very different? Even that question should come up in the mind. So the answer is that these three are known as the Guna avatars. The Vishnu that is mentioned as the Trimurti is not the same as Lord Vishnu in his full glory with all his opulences. This Lord Vishnu is a Guna avatar. He is an avatar of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. All three are avatars. Not the full avatars, but Guna avatars. There is a difference, and in scriptures, especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita and many other scriptures, the differences are given. So Lord Vishnu sometimes appears as Brahmaji. Sometimes, not always. Now, Brahma is a position. It is given to a person who is the most pious, the best person in the whole universe, gets elevated to the position of Brahma. If the Lord does not find any such qualified person, he himself takes avatar as Lord Brahma. This is clearly mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, and he appears as, and Brahmaji's job is creation. He is in charge of creating the entire, the infrastructure of he is like the chief engineer, you can say. He has been given all the raw materials, but then he has to create the bridges, the roads and bridges and so on. The raw materials have been provided. He has no capacity to generate or manufacture the raw materials. The raw materials being the gunas, we just covered yesterday in the Bhagavad Gita class. Then Lord Vishnu, who is himself an avatar of the Supreme Lord, is in charge of maintenance. And similarly, Lord Shiva is in charge of destruction. Now, okay, so that is the answer. So they are all three are guna avatars of Lord Vishnu. So again, Lord Vishnu is the supreme, and Lord Shiva is an avatar, a guna avatar, not a purna avatar, but a guna avatar of Lord Vishnu. Now, there are various forms of Lord Shiva. That's why I said it's a complicated topic. Lord Shiva has a permanent place in the spiritual world. So he is not Jiva. He is not Vishnu Tattva either. He is in the middle. He is a slight transformation of Vishnu Tattva. It is mentioned, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, quoting from scriptures, that, Hare Krishna, welcome back. So, like milk gets transformed into yogurt. Milk is like Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is like yogurt. So almost the same, but slightly transformed. Okay. Okay. Yes, Neeru Mataji, you have a question.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have actually two questions. The one that, Bhagwan and Devi Devtas, demigods. So there are two categories, right? If we go to our temple, we have two places, like we have devtas, we don't have Indra or Suryadev or Vayudev in temples, but we have Hanumanji.
Temples we don't have, but there were temples for them. But anyway, in the past.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we have Hanumanji or Devi or Shivji, they are kind of in a different category, and then we may have, Graha and all those kind of a thing.
Navagrahas and all that, yes.
Yeah, so my question was that, is there something in the middle also, Devi Devta and then Lord and then, another category. So you just said that Shiva is in the middle. So is Devi also in the middle or anybody else?
So Devi, let me talk about, there are many, there are 33 million demigods, Devis and Devatas. Okay. To run the whole universe, you need a big cabinet. Even to run a small country like United States, you have how many? 435 representatives, 100 senators, 50 governors, and I can keep counting all the cabinet ministers. You have at least 2,000 people to run this small country on this small planet called Earth. So to run the whole material creation, you do need a lot of demigods. So there are various categories, various levels. Nobody, not only me, nobody has full information about all of those. Okay. So what was your question?
Question was that,
yeah.
There are two categories or something in the middle.
Yeah. So Devi has a special, I can mention, Mother Durga. Okay. Durga. You know what is Durga? What is Durga?
Fort.
Who said jail? Very nice. You also sing fort, which means kila, he said.
Yeah.
That is the more common meaning of Durga. Another meaning of Durga is also a jail, or basically where people are bound. They cannot go out. And actually a Durga is also that. The meaning is just, or a fort, the meaning is just reversed, that they are protected within that so that outside enemy cannot enter. So, but basically it is a barrier. Neither from outside you can come in, neither from inside you can go out. One way you look at it, it becomes a jail. One way you look at it, it becomes a fort. But that is the point remains the same. Durga means she is the controller of this Durga, of the material world. And she is basically the Maya Shakti of Lord Bhagwan. So The Lord needs somebody to control this material world. And she is designated as the controller, the jailer. Every jail has a jailer. So she is the jailer. Okay, so she is Maya Shakti. And therefore, everybody prays to Mother Durga, or those who want some leniency. So if a criminal is a friend of the jailer, he will get some preferential treatment. So once you are in the jail, the best thing is to become a friend of a jailer. So a lot of benefits can be obtained by that. So similarly, once you are in the material world, worshipping Mother Durga, she is known as Jagadamba, Jagat Amba, the mother of the Jagat, the material world. So yeah, so that is the position of Mother Durga.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. I have another question.
Okay.
That is related to Indradev. So you said devta also are jivas, right? And they have 3 gunas. So my question is that when we say Indra, so is it kind of a placeholder, or is it a jiva who is Indra, and then when he does a bad thing, he kind of comes back and somebody else take Indra's position?
Yes, Indra is a position. The name Indra is a position.
Okay.
And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't remember the details. Even the current Indra, whoever is Indra, his name is given. We studied this in when we were studying the topic of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj wanted to become Indra. He invaded Swarga and Indra ran away, if you remember. Were you there in the Bhagavatam discussions? We did this about 6 months, I can't remember, few months back. Okay, and he went and sat on Indra's throne, Bali Maharaj. That is when Vaman Dev came, and in 2 steps he subdued everything, the upper worlds, the lower worlds, and the 3rd step he put on Bali Maharaj. Okay, but he was so pleased with Bali Maharaj because he offered his head as the 3rd step. And he said that you have a desire to become Indra. That's why you had invaded Indra. But you are my devotee. You have taken my shelter now. I have put your foot on your head. What happens when Lord puts his foot on somebody's head? That's the best thing. He gets complete shelter of the Lord. So Lord said that since you have taken my shelter, after the current Indra, his time is over. His what you call president ka kya hota hai? Tenure. Once his tenure is over, next Indra will be you. So I forget the name of the current Indra, but the next Indra will be Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj will be promoted to the position of Indra. Until then, Lord Vaman Dev said, you go and live in the lower planets. And he said that I will personally come and protect you there. Not only I will protect you, I will protect your bhakti. Because in the lower planets, there are Rakshasas. And in the association of Rakshasa, you might again become Rakshasa. So to prevent that from happening, I will protect your bhakti. Very nicely, we had discussed all this in the Bali Maharaj pastime when we discussed. So that answers that, or from there we get direct pramana, evidence from Shastra that Indra is not a person, but it is a position. So that answers that question. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Going back to Durga's example that you gave, Durga Ma's example. So would Subhadra Ma considered as Durga or Yogamaya? I mean, it's like, I feel it's like a thin line.
So yeah, Yogamaya and Mahamaya. So Mother Durga is the personification of Mahamaya.
Okay, not Yogamaya.
Yogamaya is Yogamaya Devi. There's a personification in the spiritual world, is Yogamaya.
So Subhadra Ma is Yogamaya.
So the question you're asking is Mother Subhadra Yogamaya? I don't know. I can't recall or connect immediately that point. But Yogamaya, the purpose of Yogamaya is to enact the Lord pastimes, to help in enacting the Lord's pastimes. She is, you can think of it like a chief of staff of the king. King doesn't directly go and talk to various people, let's do this, let's do that. He tells the chief of staff, you go and make this happen, make this happen. He gives him all the list of to-dos. It's that person's job to make it all happen.
So for the benefit of the whole group, I mean, why I'm asking is like, so she's not the highest form, like Supreme Lord, right?
Who?
Subhadra Ma. But we still worship. So do we worship Subhadra Ma as a devotee of Lord?
As a Shakti. So there is Shakti Tattva. So now we are going very much outside the sort of the planned topic, but there is Lord's Shakti. Okay.
So why would we worship Lord Shakti if we are supposed to worship only Krishna?
No, we are not supposed to worship Krishna. We are always supposed to worship Lord Krishna along with his Shakti. Before Chaitanya, so the question is, why should we worship the Lord along with his Shakti? Why not just the Lord? That is what used to happen before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before Lord Chaitanya appeared, who is a combined incarnation of Lord Krishna and Shreemati Radharani, there was only worship of Lord Krishna. Only. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established the worship of Radha and Krishna. So his instruction was, you should not worship only Shaktiman. You have to worship Shakti and Shaktiman together.
So probably Subhadra Ma means who? Subhadra Ma is sister of Krishna.
Yes, sister of Krishna. So anyway, without going into the weeds, any question on the main topic of discussion?
So the other question, I mean, initially when we were comparing between different shlokas, I was a little bit confused about Brahman, that's much darker than being at the material.
Yeah, why? Is that your question?
Yeah, because even reaching to Brahman is pretty decent level, but it's being called like it's
No.
very darker.
Okay. Quick clarification. So the question is, reaching Brahman, why is it called as darker? No, it is never said, it has never been said that reaching or attaining Brahman is darker than worship of demigods. No, what is said is worship of the impersonal Brahman. That process of worship is darker than process of worshipping the demigods.
But through that process, if you reach Brahman, I mean,
We will. That's coming up in future slide if we are able to get there. Okay, so the process is darker. What is going on?
It's the dawn.
So shall we move forward? Any other burning questions?
Is there will there be questions at the end? I have like an off-topic question, but like it's kind of related.
Ask it, and if I think it's off topic, I will defer it.
So,
I'm serious. Yeah, that's.
So you mentioned that worship of like Radha and Krishna was not prevalent before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
That's true.
And like to my knowledge, I've like Radha is like in some cases described as being more important than Krishna in some cases. So I'm confused how like that ever came to be if it wasn't prevalent before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like if she was more important or more.
So I'll briefly answer. So question is, Shreemati Radharani is considered more important, or her worship is considered more important than the worship of Lord Krishna, as you have heard, because she is more merciful. And that is exactly why Lord Chaitanya instituted the worship of Shreemati Radharani, because she is extremely merciful. For Lord Krishna's worship, you have to do a long process of bhakti. But through the worship of Shreemati Radharani, by little worship, she grants the benefit of bhakti. So basically, she is very merciful. She is very easily pleased than Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna wants to wait for some more time to see if you are serious, a serious bhakta. But Shreemati Radharani is pleased more quickly. And then she recommends to Lord Krishna that, it's okay. I would like you to pass him, to accept him. And upon Shreemati Radharani's recommendation, Lord Krishna accepts. He cannot deny anything that she asks. Okay. In India, we call this like, in a slightly derogatory way, source by some, side source. Somebody in the ministry and you want to get something, okay, sir, my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, chacha, chachi, whatever. So similarly, you become dear to Shreemati Radharani. Let's make forward progress. Okay. Okay. So, okay, it's 7:20. What shall we do? Shall we split it into 2 weeks or shall we keep going? The main, so those who are, who I know it's New Year's night, Eve and all that, for attendance purposes, the class, official class is 90 minutes. Feel free to drop if you would like now itself or something. So don't stay on, at least if you're only for the attendance purpose for Bhakti Shastri. That's point number 1. Point number 2 now is what should we do? I think we'll end at 7:45. Okay, wherever we are at a logical break point around 7:40, 45 we will end. If we cannot end, we want to do a lot of desire. Is that okay? Or sooner? Okay. So these 2 verses, 7.24 and 25, Lord Krishna then switches. If you remember, the previous verses 20 to 23 were talking about demigod worship in the 7th chapter. Anya devataha. In these 2 verses, Lord Krishna is talking about worship of the impersonal Brahman, what is known as the avyakta, the avyakta form. So here you will see here Lord Krishna is saying avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyate mam a-buddhaya. So what is being said here is that those who consider that I was avyakta, avyakta means impersonal, no form, no vyakti. It does not mean material vyakti. It does not mean any personal form. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam. Now I have become a vyakti or a person. Earlier, my original form was avyakta. Now I am vyakti. Manyate, who think like this. He's also adding the word manyate, means this is a conception they have. That I am like this, mom. What is he calling them? A-buddhaya, a little bit more strong than alpa buddhi, a-buddhi. Not just alpa buddhi. Alpa buddhi means less intelligent. A-buddhi means totally vacant. The top floor is vacant. Alpa buddhi means top floor was light. It wasn't full. Here it is completely empty. A-buddhaya. Param bhavam ajananto. They don't know my param bhava. Mam avyayam anuttamam. That I am avyayam and anuttamam. I am eternal and I am the topmost. I am the topmost, he says. Not the avyakta. And yesterday in the Bhagavad Gita class, we read another verse, 14.27, where he says, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. I am the basis of the Brahman. The Brahman is not the basis of me. What this verse is meaning to say. First, there was avyakta, now there is vyakti. If you think like this, manyate, you are a-buddhaya. So he's completely defeating this point. So basically what he's saying is that impersonalists are a-buddhaya. And to those, what he does, na aham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavritah. I tell my yogamaya. So nice discussion we just had on yogamaya. He tells his chief of staff, yogamaya, please come here. Keep those people out of my office. Don't let them come. If the chief of staff doesn't allow, you cannot meet the president, can you? So yogamaya samavritah means covered. He tells the yogamaya to keep me covered from such people. They cannot see me. Let them be in their whole, impersonal conception. So he tells yogamaya to let them be in their illusion. So Krishna never reveals himself to the impersonalists. Okay. So now we want to do this. So now comes the interesting part. What can you see on the screen? Okay. Okay, fine. I have to change the. You should not see this. Okay, let me just, I'll stop the screen sharing so that it's a good experience for people on the screen as well, on the Zoom as well, and just listen to the question, okay? Just listen, okay? Don't. So this is group discussion time. So this is interesting, I think, So what do you think is the main problem with demigod worship? Quickly shout out. Even on the Zoom, if you would like, you can shout out. We have had a lot of discussion. What is the main problem with demigod worship?
Mostly it is done for fulfillment of material desire.
Very good. So it is done for fulfillment of material desires. You said it has an ending, antavat. So the benefits are temporary.
And also limited. Also limited.
Yes, in the room. Very, very nice. Our time and energy is limited. If we are doing X, that means we cannot devote the whole to Krishna. So some energy, if not all, is being taken away. So all are very nice points.
Expensive.
Expensive. In what way? Actually, no, it is right. He's right, actually. I didn't ask in a rhetorical or a sarcastic way. If you see the various vidhis that are given are very elaborate. What is the vidhi for Krishna Bhakti? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. How much it costs? If it rains, you put your hand out, you will get toyam. Free of cost. So Krishna Bhakti is completely free, you can do. You just have to chant the holy name. Your tongue has been given to you. You can chant. Even if you cannot speak, you can do smarana. Your mind is free. So yes.
You cannot go to the spiritual world.
Even it is said that if the worship of demigods is done in not in a proper way, it may damage you. It is also said that.
Okay. So it keeps us bound in the cycle of work and enjoyment, isn't it? Earn your money, go to Disneyland, enjoy, come back. Earn money again, go to Disneyland, enjoy, come back. It keeps you bound still in the cycle.
You can't reach the destination.
You cannot reach the spiritual world. It keeps you bound in the material world. The cycle of birth and death continues. Okay. So, and it prevents the full understanding. If you are only worshipping demigods and that is the only knowledge you have, then it means for such a person, he doesn't have the full knowledge. Isn't it? So he is operating in a limited sphere, not with the full knowledge. Next question is, now here's the question which pertaining to the verse, that why is demigod worship better than impersonal worship? Yes.
Not denying Krishna's form.
Okay, so it's not denying Krishna's form, something little more simpler. Yes. Okay, let's discuss this. If you have a question, then we'll take afterward. Is it an answer to this?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, impersonal, you explains like there is no form, right?
Mm-hmm.
So demigods, devi devtas, we know that there is a form.
Yes.
So that's why we compare demigod worship is better than impersonal worship. That's my answer.
Okay, because it is a worship of a form. Very nice. That's a very nice point. Yes, Mataji.
For demigod worship is at least an indirect way of worshiping Krishna, but impersonal is like an offensive. It's offensive to Krishna because we think Krishna is impersonal. Because in other ways, you know, people, if they get liberated by personal worship, they get stuck in the Brahma Jyoti and they won't have a chance to go to spiritual world in future.
Okay. Good points.
So when you worship demigods, and if you do not have material desires, demigods will direct you towards Krishna.
Very nice point.
Whereas in impersonal, you are worshipping Krishna in an impersonal form. So what you reach is Brahman, where you don't have a bhakti. So you do not get a personal association of Krishna, and that's why it's not recommended.
Okay, all good points. So let me share.
One more point.
Yes.
It is a human nature to keep more focus on a particular form, and that is also one of the reasons. Yes.
Okay, it allows you to focus on a personal form. Very good. So here are some of the reasons that I put down, again, all taken from Srila Prabhupada's purports. First of all, like some of you said, demigod worship is personal in nature. Okay, so it's an easier transition. Whenever the transition happens to the personal form of Bhagavan, it's an easier transition. Ultimately, that's where we want to go, isn't it? So it's a much easier transition. The second point is that, and the third, this is an increasing order of sort of importance. The demigod worshippers are at least aware that they are seeking material benefits. That is the whole process. Okay? The whole process is to seek material benefits. Sukh sampati ghar aave. Or there is, there are so many prayers like that. In no prayers to Lord that are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam or, the bona fide Vaishnava prayers, there is no ask for any material benefits at all. All that is being asked is bhakti of the Lord, or there are spiritual things. Let me go to the spiritual world. But nothing is being asked. So they are at least aware that I am asking for material benefits. Then it prompts the inquiry. Okay, once you realize, okay, I have been asking for these material benefits over and over and over again, and every time I feel that I want more, It never seems to satisfy me fully. So is there something beyond? Now, I have been worshipping demigods for so many years. My satisfaction has not been fulfilled completely. Temporary, yes, but not permanently. I am always thirsty. So after demigods, who is the other person? Because you are already locked into the person worship, then you start searching for the supreme person. So in that sense, but those who are, that brings us to the next question. Why are impersonalists worse? Why is the worship of impersonal? What is the problem with that? Any thoughts?
Lack of prema towards Lord.
Okay.
Prema in a sense that personal exchange.
Personal exchange. Okay. What else? What if it is not there? So what?
Also, they believe that there is nothing. I mean, they don't believe that some power or source is there. They just, science, I would say.
Okay.
Also, the theory is that you merge with the supreme, which is not true because we have our own,
Okay. Again, that's a little bit theoretical. I'm asking a little bit at a more practical level.
They have a complete wrong understanding, Prabhuji, like a sun rays. They think that the sunlight is the main thing, and behind the sun god they ignore.
So the question, think of the question like this. Our goal is Krishna Bhakti. We all understand that. Okay. Now, like somebody said, that attaining the Brahman or worshipping the Brahman is attaining the Brahman is a very high accomplishment anyway. And if you are worshipping the Brahman, the process to attain Brahman is to worship the Brahman through the process of Jnana Yoga. That is the recommended process for attaining Brahman. So the process, what is the problem in following that process? Why is that process worse than the process of worshipping the demigods.
It's a very long process, and ultimately after following that process, you then go to the same thing that you will do with the Krishna Bhakti today. In a
Okay, so that's a
personal
very nice answer. It's a very, very long process. This example has been given many times, climbing the stairs versus taking an elevator. Isn't it? If you have to climb 100 floors, one floor, fine, you can take the stairs, or maybe, sometimes taking the stairs is faster. But here it is 100 floors. It's very difficult. What else? Somebody raised the hand.
Prabhuji,
Somebody in the room here. Yes.
There's no guarantee of success because that doesn't involve a cultivation of a higher faith.
Okay, no guarantee of success because there is lack of cultivation of a taste. Very nice. What else? Yes, Mataji, in the room.
Faith is missing as Krishna form itself. Like they might be thinking like that is the ultimate thing exists, and they are not even aware of Śrī Krishna in personal form.
Okay, very nice. Lack of awareness. So anything else on the Zoom?
Prabhuji, sometimes they start thinking that Brahman is the cause of Shri Krishna, which is like completely false. And that is why it is worse then, because demigod worshippers usually tend to not think that way.
Okay. So 2 points there. Demigod worshippers may not even know that Lord Krishna is at a higher level. They may think he's at the same level. Who knows, maybe somebody thinks that he is lower. I have heard some examples or some narrations that Lord Krishna is born from Mother Durga. There could not be anything more incorrect or inaccurate than that. So that is possible, yes. And but again, so let me share in interest of time. The most important point is those who are now again contrasting it with the demigod worshippers or the process of demigod worship.
Prabhuji, can you share the slide?
Yes, I will share momentarily. So
Okay.
let me now I think actually I can, because it is I have covered all the points. So here it is. There we go. Okay. So those who are worshipping the demigods know that they are going for material benefits. And sooner or later, they may realize that there is something beyond material benefits, because these material benefits are ultimately limited and temporary. So let me search for something which is permanent. Now, the worship of impersonal Brahman, the result is actually permanent. The Brahman is known as Akshara. Akshara means eternal or permanent. One who goes to the Brahman liberation also never comes back. The Brahman is actually completely spiritual. There is no doubt about that. So those who are following the Brahman, the path of Brahman, they have basically, they don't have any need for the personal worship of Bhagwan. There is nothing else. They will think that, okay, I am worshipping or I am trying to go to the eternal destination. So they are misled into having this understanding that this is the highest goal. So there is no impetus or there is no motivation to look for something else. Are you following? It promises the highest goal. Demigod worship does not promise the highest goal. We all have that experience in our own life. Does anybody feel completely satisfied with all the material benefits that you have? Does anybody believe that all the material things that you possess are permanent and unlimited? No, we don't feel that. We know one day it will come to an end. But this process of Brahman realization promises something which is eternal. So, okay, done. Nothing else to look for. I'm already chasing the highest. What can be higher? That is the way they think.
Within the impersonalists, does they believe in the form? No, right?
They may believe in the form. There are two types of impersonalists. Again, these are deeper topics, Brahmavadis and Mayavadis. The Brahmavadis believe that there is a form, but they don't want to get, or that is superior to the Brahman, but they have attachment to the Brahman. Mayavadis believe there is a form, but that form is material. So understanding of the form is there in both.
So does they believe that they merge into Brahmajyoti?
Yes.
So when it goes to Brahmajyoti, there is no shelter there, right? Like Prabhupada once said, like if you leave.
That is the second point. That there is no shelter or there is no seva involved.
Yeah.
In the process or even after attaining Brahman. There can be. Now somebody said that there is no opportunity to go higher. Our Shastras say from Brahman you can go to Vaikuntha. It is possible. I don't know who said, but someone said. So that point was not correct. You can go, but whether you have that inspiration to go or not, that depends on the individual. But one thing is clear, that there is no seva of Bhagavan. There is no shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And therefore, in the process itself, once you attain Brahman, yes, it is permanent. But the process of that itself also does not involve any seva. And because of that, many people can get frustrated. Majority of the people get frustrated and they deviate. And then they think that, oh, I was pursuing this path for so long and I failed. So that means there is no other path available. I'm done. I tried for the highest and it was always elusive. So they may come to the conclusion that it is fake. This path is fake or fraud, or it is a pretense. It does not exist. And that is no different than atheism. That whole statement is atheism, that going for something spiritual is fake. That's what atheism is. So because of the frustration of the long and arduous journey and no seva involved and no taste because of that, there is a very high chance of deviating. So these are the problems with the impersonal path. Not with those who have attained the impersonal Brahman. They are very lucky. They managed to climb all the 100 floors through the staircase, somehow or the other. They are very lucky. Okay. So that is the problem. So therefore, impersonal, the worship of the impersonal, not the attainment of the impersonal, but the worship of the impersonal is called as darker or worse than the worship of demigods. Is that making sense? Yes.
So what happens if, so I'm just assuming that if someone worships demigods with full sincerity and with no desire for material gain, then they'll lead them to Krishna.
So that is a topic for next slide, which we will take up next week. What is the recommended way? If you want to worship the demigods, because of some prior faith, attachment, tradition, culture, family values, so many things could be there, and you just cannot stop worshipping the demigods. What is the proper way to channel your worship? And to give a brief answer to what you said, yes. Now, the demigod, the worship of the demigods as per the Vedas is only for material benefit. The Vedas don't say, they don't have such prayers or procedures or rituals that tell that you go and ask for Krishna Bhakti from the demigods. If you want to ask for Krishna Bhakti, the recommended way is to go to the devotees of the Lord, not to the demigods. Okay? But if you want to worship the demigods, you can anyway, through your own heart, ask them to bring you closer to Krishna. Ask them for Krishna Bhakti. And in parallel, if you are not worshipping Krishna, you add Krishna worship. Make that as the central point of your worship. That's why in some of the, not some, actually all the temples that are made, the original, the old temples, the central Garbhagriha is of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu or Lord Venkateshwara and all. Surrounding, there are all these small, temples of the demigods. So that was the tradition. So keep Krishna in the center. And they are there as a matter of respect. Like when the president arrives in Air Force One. Why is the Air Force One so big if it has to carry one person? Air Force One doesn't carry one person. It carries the whole cabinet, the whole entourage. So when the president arrives, he gets the maximum respect, but everybody also gets the respect, isn't it? So we respect others, but the worship is reserved for Bhagavan Krishna. Yes.
So Prabhuji, Sukadeva Goswami and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, they were impersonalists before, earlier in the phase. And then Lord Janaka, Janaka Maharaj was also impersonalist. Now,
I don't know about Janak Maharaj, but keep going.
Because Janaka Maharaj is considered Guru of Sukadeva Goswami.
I have not heard that. But
Vyasa Bhagavan sent Sukadeva Goswami to...
Okay. But anyway, what's your question?
Our question is, okay, you did touch upon it accurately that practicing impersonalism in general is worse than demigod worship. That's not to categorize impersonalists as a whole as being worse than demigod worship.
Yeah. As being, that is, you are right. So the point Prabhuji is making is categorizing impersonalists as all of them, 100% of them, as being worse than demigod worshippers is not correct. But in general, that is the point. A couple of clarifications I want, or points, finer points. Impersonalist is an English word, isn't it? Now, there are no Sanskrit or English words for all the possible Sanskrit words. There are two categories of impersonalists, Mayavadis and Brahmavadis. Okay, now Sukadeva Goswami, for example, Sukadeva Goswami was a Brahmavadi. He was not a Mayavadi. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, on the other hand, was a Mayavadi. And what did it take for Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to so quickly get converted into being such a pure devotee? Direct association of Lord Chaitanya. To the extent that he wanted to change this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam from Mukti Pada Daya Bhag to Bhakti Pada Daya Bhag. He says, I don't like the word Mukti anymore. This Bhagavatam should be changed. And Lord Chaitanya started laughing. He became such a big bhakta that he started hating the word Mukti and wanted to replace every instance of Mukti with Bhakti. Became such a nice, sweet devotee. But Brahmavadis are not offensive to Lord Krishna or to the personal form. So impersonalist is a sort of a loaded term. It encompasses both. And Mayavadis, if one is a Mayavadi, 100% they are worse than demigod worshippers because they are offenders of Lord, the person, the Supreme Lord. They believe in the fact that the form of the Lord is material. The Brahman, when it comes in contact with matter, then it gives rise to the personal form. And therefore, that personal form is material, which means it is bound by the gunas. So Lord Ram, when his wife was kidnapped, he was like an ordinary, if my wife gets kidnapped, I would be very, agitated and angry. Things, the world would fall apart. So they thought, if that is what would happen to me, Lord Ram is same. He was also so, what is the difference between me and Lord Ram? Okay. So that is offense. So we will stop here and we will resume next time because there is some more material that I want to cover in this topic of demigod worship and also want to contrast it to the impersonal path a little bit more. There are some more points that Srila Prabhupada has brought out and how to properly worship or approach the demigods. So we will cover these points in the next class. It's getting late, so we will stop here. Okay. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you. Wish you all a very, very happy, prosperous, healthy, and Krishna conscious New Year. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year, Prabhuji. And
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Happy New Year.